Welcome to this congregation. We are the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks, and my name is Colleen Stow, and I'm your lay leader for today's service. Our UU community is built on love, connection, and acceptance for all. So we thank you for choosing to be a part of our gathering this morning. Our hope is that today's message, in word and song, will serve to strengthen your personal and spiritual journey. And now I invite you to relax and enjoy this time together. And welcome to all those who visit us on Zoom. UU is a lived faith that inspires us to act, love, and live our values out in the world. Each of this year's monthly themes, sourced from a new resource called Soul Matters, is a way for us to connect to our new UU core, the value of liberating love. For September, the theme is the practice of invitation. So whether it is the invitation to return, the invitation to share diverse sources of renewal, or the invitation to change, this month's inspiration is the invitation to embody liberating love in our daily lives. Today's speaker is Mark Bernstein. We welcome Mark, who's a former staff member in the Central East region of the UUA and continues his work with area congregations today as adjunct staff with the region. He is a 30-plus year veteran of the UU Church of Delaware County and Media. His sermon title today is Come, Yet Again Come, the famous poem by Rumi. Common in UU congregations, it represents a chance to start anew. It tells us that no matter who we are or what we have done, we are invited to come back to this place where we can find healing and comfort and inspiration. Let's explore the role of redemption in our Unitarian Universalist lives. The musical prelude by our returning musician, Avi Wisnia.
So we are going to hear those words from Mark, a little bit more about those words, but we're going to sing those words that Rumi gave to us, Come, Yet Again Come. In our opening hymn, number 188, you can find the words in front of you on the screen. And of course, in the spirit of invitation, I invite all of you, whether you are here in this room or on this Zoom, to sing with me whenever we make music together. And I am so thrilled and happy to be back in person to be able to make music with you this year. So let's make some music in spirit and sing together, Come, Come, whoever you are. We'll sing it through a few times, each time a little bit louder and then ending a little bit softer. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Little louder. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. One last time together. Come, Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, yet again come, yet again come.
I would like to invite Rena Jacobson up to light the chalice while I read our opening words. Thank you. It's a tube. You put your finger in there and you pull back on this at the same time. It's childproof.
It certainly is. Okay.
This is the lock. You push it up and then you have to push this up and squeeze.
Let me get it.
Put your thumb there, push it up. No? I'm lighting it.
Okay.
We light our flaming chalice each week with a simple spark to make holy our time together. With this flame, may our highest intentions be refreshed. With this flame, may we remember who we are and whose we are. With this flame, may our faith be renewed and reignited to guide our journey. Amen, and may it be so. The words of Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. Today, our message for all ages will be read by Nancy Harvin. Please welcome her up.
Good morning, good morning. So our message for all ages is called The Scratched Diamond. It's based on a tale told in the 1700s by a Jewish teacher, Jacob ben Wolf. The Scratched Diamond. There was once a very wealthy king who owned many beautiful things. He had cloth tapestries, piles of gold, and statues made by the very best sculptors in the land. Of all the belongings, his very favorite possession was his most glorious diamond you can imagine. It was as huge and big and round as his hand, and it was pure, clear, and flawless, without any marks or blemishes. He loved to go and sit with his diamond and gaze at its beauty and perfection. One day, when the king went to look at his diamond, he discovered to his horror that it had a long, deep scratch. Couldn't believe his eyes. What could have happened to his flawless diamond? Immediately, he sent for all the best stone cutters and diamond cutters in his village. One by one, they came to inspect the diamond. Each looked at it closely and then sadly shook their head. The scratch was too deep. If they tried to polish it, they might break the diamond into pieces. Finally, one last diamond carver came before the king. He looked at the diamond closely, gazing at it from every angle. The king watched with bated breath as the diamond carver turned the diamond over and over, pursing his lips and shaking his head. Ah! Suddenly, the diamond carver's face broke into a big smile. I know how to fix this. Leave it to me. In 2 weeks' time, I will return your diamond to you better than ever. However, you are not to visit me during this time or check on my progress. You must wait until it's finished. The king was very excited. Soon, his flawless diamond would be back with his other lovely things, perfect again, the scratch removed. It took all the king's willpower to resist the temptation to visit the diamond carver to watch him work. As for the diamond carver, day after day, night after night, he brought out his tools to fix that diamond. Bit by bit, he worked on that scratch. It was slow, tedious work. He knew he had to work carefully or the diamond could crack into pieces. Finally, the diamond cutter was finished. Carefully, he wrapped the diamond in cloth to protect it, and he brought it before the king. "Here it is, Your Majesty," he said with a flourish. He opened the cloth and presented the diamond. The king gasped at what he saw. Where there was once had been a scratch, a horrible flaw in his precious diamond, there was now an exquisitely beautiful flower carved into the diamond. Unable to polish the scratch out of the diamond carver had instead turned the flaw into something beautiful. The king loved his diamond more than ever. Now, when he went to hold it in his hands and gaze upon it, he was reminded that even something imperfect or ugly or flawed can become something exquisitely beautiful.
Thank you, Nancy. Please join me in singing our children off to their RE class. Go now in peace.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of us surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
I'd like to welcome Mark Bernstein with the reading for this morning.
Thank you, Colleen. Good morning. It's been a long, lonely summer without you. I'm glad to be back. The reading this morning is actually a responsive reading, so I'm going to call on you to participate. I will read a statement, and then in response, I'll ask you all to say, "We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love." This is Rob Eller Isaac's Litany of Atonement. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. So ends the reading. Well done.
The offertory for our shared plate recipient this September is World Central Kitchen. They have provided more than 300 million fresh, nourishing meals for communities around the world. Your donation today will be used to support our emergency food relief efforts. So please donate generously and give with your heart. Your shared gifts are accepted with love and generosity. Thank you. We now have a musical interlude by our esteemed musician, Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
When you're weary and feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down.
Thank you, Avi. There was a time in my life when you would play that and I couldn't keep from crying. Our sermon today is by Mark Bernstein, so please welcome him back with Come, Yet Again, Come.
Avi is such a damn hard act to follow. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. This famous poem and hymn, often sung in a round, and quite common in Unitarian Universalist congregations, is attributed to Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi, known simply as Rumi, who lived from 1207 to 1273. It is likely that the poem was actually written by the poet Abu Sa'id, who died in 1084, 200 years earlier, but let us not quibble. The poem is written on Rumi's tomb and has been adopted by many as a testament to the power and the grace of invitation and redemption. The poem ends with what is perhaps the most important line, often left out of the hymn, and it reads, "Come, even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times, come, yet again come." It doesn't matter how many times or in what ways you have broken your vow, you have broken your promise. You are invited back. You can start anew. You are forgiven. It's a simple but powerful poem, and it also has significance in our polarized and fractured society, inviting individuals from diverse backgrounds, spiritual beliefs, lifestyle choices to join in a welcoming community where all can belong despite past errors or shortcomings. It is a poem of inclusion and hope and unity. It is quintessentially Unitarian Universalist, addressing all that we profess in our faith. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, you are welcome here. Scholar C.C. Ibrahim Garnart offers a more detailed translation of the poem, which reads, "Come again, please come again, whoever you are, religious, infidel, heretic, or pagan. Even if you promised 100 times and 100 times you broke your promise, this door is not the door of hopelessness and frustration. This door is open for everybody. Come, come as you are." Inherent in the message contained in the poem is the idea of redemption, defined by one source as an act of atoning for guilt, a fault, or a mistake. The Bible tells us that everyone is in need of redemption. And in Romans chapter 3, verse 23, don't you know, we learn that, quote, "All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." All have sinned. However, most Unitarian Universalists reject the Christian notion of original sin and believe that since we are not sinners, we do not need forgiveness from sin. Instead, redemption for Unitarian Universalists is seeking forgiveness from one another. In many, and it should be in all Unitarian Universalist congregations, the opportunity for redemption and forgiveness is in the establishment of a covenant of right relations. Do you have one? I forgot to check your website. You guys are looking at each other like, what's a covenant? I guess I got my answer. A covenant is not simply a document we create, it is a way of being. It brings us together and holds us accountable, not only for our own behavior, but for the behavior of the community. The focus of a covenant is on the promises one person or group of people make to another person or group of people about how they will support one another and what shared values they will uphold together. Thus, when a covenant is broken or violated, the parties involved must focus on restoring relationship through reconciliation and forgiveness. Whenever we make a promise to another, we must also promise to seek reconciliation with those with whom we have broken our promise, to ask for forgiveness, and for those who may have been harmed in some way, a promise to offer forgiveness to those who have caused them harm. Thus, in every good covenant, there is the final tenet, the statement that you repeated this morning several times in our opening responsive reading. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Seeking redemption and offering forgiveness, that is the duality of reconciliation. While one attempts to account for their mistake, to seek redemption, the other needs to practice forgiveness in order to begin again in love. And practicing forgiveness for the person who has wronged is not easy. Gretchen Haley writes that forgiveness is an act of vulnerability, both from the one seeking forgiveness and the one offering it, as it reveals the risks of trying to love in an imperfect world. Forgiving another is, I believe, the essence of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. It requires letting go of the resentment or anger that was held toward another. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing the harm done to you, but it does mean having the grace to put that harm behind you and move forward with a relationship that heals us and enables us to move forward together. The great cleric and Nobel Prize winner Desmond Tutu wrote this: "Forgiveness does not relieve someone of responsibility for what they have done. Forgiveness does not erase accountability. We are not responsible for what breaks us, but we can be responsible for what puts us back together again." What is much easier than forgiveness is holding a grudge. Much easier. It doesn't require any action on our part. It doesn't involve taking any risks. Instead, we can take comfort in our grudge making, blaming the other for the broken relationship or perceived harm to us, and absolving ourselves from any responsibility to restore that relationship or rectify the situation. A senior monk and a junior monk were traveling together. At one point, they came to a river with a strong current. As the monks were preparing to cross the river, they saw a very young woman also attempting to cross. The woman asked if they could help her cross to the other side. The two monks glanced at one another because they had taken vows not to touch a woman. Then, without a word, the older monk picked up the woman, carried her across the river, placed her gently on the other side, and continued on his journey. The younger monk couldn't believe what had just happened. After rejoining his companion, he was speechless, and an hour passed without a word between them. 2 more hours passed, then 3. Finally, the younger monk could not contain himself any longer and blurted out, "As monks, we are not permitted to touch a woman. How could you then carry that woman on your shoulders?" The older monk looked at him and replied, "Brother, I set her down on the other side of the river. Why are you still carrying her?" This simple Zen story has a beautiful message about the need to let go. How often do we carry around past hurts, holding on to resentment, when the only person we are really hurting is ourselves? We all go through times in life when other people say things or behave in a way that is hurtful towards us. We can choose to ruminate over past actions or events, but it will ultimately weigh us down and sap our energy. It can leave us feeling incomplete. Let me share a personal story, because I feel so much at home here, that serves as an example of holding a grudge and lays claim to the fact that I do not always practice what I preach. My older sister, Judy, passed away about 15 years ago. She had a bad heart. It's hard to believe that so much time has passed. She left behind 3 boys with whom I was very close as they were growing up. After my sister's funeral, we stayed in contact sparingly. They were living busy lives with growing families, and we were separated geographically. I was here in Philly, and they were living on Long Island, where I was born and raised. Over time, however, our communication waned, and my efforts to engage with them went unheeded. The proverbial straw came when I invited them to attend my older son's wedding in 2011. Well, I didn't expect them to attend because of the distance, I was shocked that I never even received a reply from any of them. It's funny and tragic how major rifts in relationships stem from relatively minor matters. I have not spoken with my nephews since. Siddhartha Gautama, more commonly known as the Buddha, wrote this: "The grudge you hold on to is like a hot coal that you intend to throw at someone, only you're the one who gets burned." Seeking redemption for past failures, offering forgiveness for past wrongs. These are the cornerstones of a beloved community. These are the true measures of our willingness to live out our Unitarian Universalist principles and beliefs. Here is a lament that I had probably shared with you a time or two before. During my tenure with the Central East region, I have seen too many congregations that are caravans of despair, where conflict reigns and people fight, where congregants leave not only the congregation, but our faith entirely. I recently experienced that with a congregation in Virginia, to the greatest extreme that I had ever done so in my tenure with the UUA. Caravans of despair. Do we have the courage to seek and offer forgiveness in our relationships with one another? Do we have the tenacity to be true to ourselves and not swayed by the opinions of others that may cause harm? If not, we find ourselves torn asunder and lost in our quest for harmony and community. If so, we grow closer to that ideal of a beloved community. Let me end with two quotes from Rumi, since that is where we began. Here is the first. "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." Unitarian Universalists cannot change the world unless we first change ourselves, he tells us. We cannot fix what is wrong with the world if we don't address the issues that are causing us to be broken. And finally, Rumi wrote, "Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Speak with kindness and reason rather than anger and hostility. Seek forgiveness humbly, practice forgiveness freely. So may it be."
Thank you, Mark. You always do such a splendid job. Joys and sorrows. Now is the time in our service when we recognize and lift one another up in love. Please come to this microphone and share your joy or sorrow with love, and please be brief.
My name's Roseanne Frankenberg. I would like prayers for my husband Gary. He went to the dermatologist and he's probably got either basal cell or squamous cell carcinoma, but they're both treatable, fairly treatable. They took, some tests, so he doesn't have the results to know exactly what it is, but please keep us in your prayers.
Hi, I'm Jeff Ellis. Happy that my son came home on Friday, even though the circumstances were kind of sad, but it's good to be together with him.
Anyone else? Whether or not you share today, for your joys, we in this community join you in celebration. For any sorrows or concerns, may you feel our sympathy and compassion. Please join us as we sing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Please take a moment to relax and join me in this meditation. Creative Spirit, source of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. So be it, blessed be, amen, by Reverend Lynn Cox. Our closing song, All the Rivers Run. Step right up. Oh, they're right here.
I like a change of scenery. Nice to see you from this angle. Well, today let's end with some energy, talking about the healing waters. This song is all about the healing waters all around us throughout our lives, whether it's literal waters that bring us life and sustenance, or the metaphor of all the things that flow together in our lives, all our lives that flow into each other and affect each other. And with this month's invitation, I invite you to sing one last time, All the Rivers Run, by Alex Bevan. And if you sung this before, if you remember in previous years, you know that there are some hand motions for it. So I also invite you to do the hand motions, and I'll teach it to you if you're feeling up for it. And it goes like this. It's very easy. Every time we do the chorus, all the rivers run, you take your hands like a flowing river. All the rivers run, dancing in the sun, cradled in their watershed, all the rivers run. Let's try it one more time. All the rivers run, dancing in the sun, cradled in their watershed, all the rivers run. You could do that at home too, wherever you are. All right. And of course, at the end of every verse, at the end of every line, you can join me with the refrain. All the Rivers Run. Here we go. We all live on a planet so big and blue. All the rivers run. So much to learn and so much to do. All the rivers run. There are mountains high and valleys low. All the rivers run. And in between them waters flow. All the rivers run. Here we go. All the rivers run. Dancing in the sun. Cradled in their watersheds. All the rivers run. When the sun comes up and warms the land. All the rivers run. There's a world of wonder at every hand. All the rivers run. Dewdrop, raindrop, river or sea, all the rivers run. The water cycles endlessly, all the rivers run. Here we go. All the rivers run, dancing in the sun, cradled in their watersheds, all the rivers run. See millions of interlinking threads, all the rivers run. This is the web of life, it said, all the rivers run. The tapestry of life is knit, all the rivers run. And water weaves through all of it. All the rivers run. All the rivers run. Dancing in the sun. Cradled in their watersheds. All the rivers run. And again. All the rivers run. Dancing in the sun. Cradled in their watersheds. All the rivers run. All the rivers run. Nice job.
That'll get the juices moving. We're extinguishing this chalice. May you leave this time together changed. May you share that feeling of transformation wherever you go. May it spread into every word, deed, thought, and interaction. By Emily Richards. Our service is concluded, and for those of you on Zoom, thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you can join us again next week. In the meantime, I'd like to thank Mark Bernstein for a wonderful sermon today, as always. For all who are here, please join us in the cafeteria for coffee, fellowship, conversation. Go now in peace. Amen and blessed be.